Welcome to Key Talking Points.
The podcast that makes learning effortless.
No fluff, no jargon, just clear, engaging explanations.
We break down complex topics so you don't have to.
Let's get straight to the point.
Visit keytalkingpoints.com for more.
Google's Gemini has undergone a fascinating transformation, and with its 2.0 flash thinking model, it's moved the boundaries of what's possible in AI. Let's start with the upgrades. This isn't your average chatbot algorithm anymore. It's what you might call a chain of thought system, breaking down complex problems step by step. It's a bit like solving a jigsaw puzzle, where every piece, whether it's planning, reasoning, or analysing, comes together more intelligently to generate a complete picture. And the results? Unbelievably detailed yet approachable reports at the click of a button. Imagine opening up access to over 45 languages, all for free, no premium subscription, no roadblocks. Everyone gets a chance to tap into this new level of AI-driven research. That's what deep research offers now.
45 languages for free? That's wild. Honestly, it sounds like Google is really upping the game. So wait, how does it actually work though? I mean, is it like a search engine on steroids or more?
Well, it is slower, by design actually. The system creates a research plan before diving into available information. Picture it as your very own dedicated assistant, carefully sifting through and then summarising everything. It's as if it takes a step back to strategize before charging forward.
Ah, okay. So instead of spitting out instant, often random results, it's like crafting something comprehensive, tailored to the question. Makes sense.
Exactly. And it's not just knowledge on a screen, there's personalisation too. With your permission, Gemini can now use your past search history to inform its answers. Let's say you spend a lot of time searching for photography tips. It might draw on that to suggest perhaps the best lenses for landscape shots during your next query.
Whoa, so it keeps track. Creepy, but kind of awesome, I guess. Though, doesn't that open up a bit of a privacy Pandora's box?
There's a banner to turn off the feature anytime, which feels reassuring. Plus, the setup only accesses your data when it deems it truly necessary. Still, whether folks find that approach invasive or not remains to be seen.
Fair point. Okay, but isn't Gemini doing more than just answering questions? Something about robots, right?
Ah, yes. Robots. Google's DeepMind has taken Gemini into the realm of robotics. And let me tell you, this is far more than moving arms or simple tasks. With what they call Gemini robotics, we're seeing robots like the Aloha 2 fold origami or, get this, close a Ziploc bag. Not only that, but they're capable of responding to complex natural language commands. Imagine telling your robot to put strawberries in a Tupperware. Even if you move the box mid-task, it adapts to find where you've placed it and carries on.
Wait, it can adapt mid-task, like no rewiring or recoding?
Precisely. It's a leap in what they call dexterity and interactivity. We're inching closer to general-purpose robots, machines that can navigate novel situations with the flexibility you'd expect of a human assistant.
Okay, that's like something straight out of science fiction, isn't it? But these examples, I mean, they're like everyday moments. Closing plastic bags, folding paper, it's oddly relatable somehow.
That's the beauty of it. Small tasks like these demand incredibly nuanced motor skills, the kind we take for granted. But for robots, it's a monumental step. They're even offering tools for other roboticists to run their own routines using Gemini's reasoning system.
Wild. Honestly, it feels like we're seeing the tip of the iceberg here. What comes next, though?
Speaking of pushing boundaries, let's shift gears to Apple's latest innovations. The iPhone 17 series, especially the rumoured iPhone 17 Air, seems to embody that same spirit of forward-thinking design. With an ultra-thin, lightweight frame and a simple single rear camera, a surprising contrast to today's trend of multi-lens setups. It's all about refining the essentials.
A single camera? Isn't that going backwards?
It might seem that way at first glance, but it's part of Apple's strategy. The iPhone 17 Air seems designed to target a budget-conscious audience while maintaining the premium feel Apple is known for. Plus, it's sporting their new A19 chip, which promises efficiency and speed even for a thinner build.
Interesting. So, kind of like making high-tech accessible without overloading it?
Precisely. By comparison, competitors like Samsung or Google, even in their mid-range devices, are still doubling down on multiple cameras and bigger builds. Apple is taking a different approach with, you could say, less is more elegance.
All right, but hardware aside, the big buzz right now is the redesign in their software. A lot of people are talking about how iOS's look is supposed to finally, shift.
And it is overdue, isn't it? Apple hasn't rethought its software interface in years, but with this redesign, they're supposedly aiming for a more consistent user experience across all their devices, including drawing inspiration from visionOS. Remember, that's the operating system tied to Apple's mixed reality efforts. Think more floating app icons, translucent menus. It's meant to feel seamless, interactive.
Like finally unifying everything across iPhones, Macs, iPads, and maybe even that Vision Pro headset?
Exactly. A clear, cohesive interface, bridging their device ecosystem. We still need to see if it's truly as groundbreaking as hinted, but the effort is clearly aligned with their focus on making interactions effortless and intuitive. And then there's Siri.
Oh, the delays. What's going on there?
Ah yes, Siri's grand AI upgrades. Initially promised alongside their Apple Intelligence suite, these updates were meant to deeply personalize the assistant, integrating context like your habits and preferences. But it's proving harder to execute. Delays are piling up, and Apple now says it's rolling out features over the next year. Some speculate it's the sheer complexity of making it dynamic yet private.
Right? Because personalization sounds brilliant. But also, isn't that walking a fine line with privacy?
It is, and Apple's made big promises about keeping data secure, processing it on device when it can instead of on the cloud, but staying private while remaining competitive with more fluid assistance from Google or Amazon. That's the challenge. Even the latest Siri demo hinted at slower than expected progress in linking AI with intuitive, app-linked actions.
A lot to live up to, huh? Between bridging their hardware designs and getting Siri caught up to rivals, it's definitely a pivotal time for Apple.
Absolutely, and the stakes couldn't be higher, considering how fast their competitors are advancing. All eyes are on Cupertino to see if Apple will deliver the experience they've been hinting at. It's interesting to compare Apple's uphill battle with Siri to the way other tech giants are navigating challenges of their own. For instance, the Justice Department's recent action against Google could go down as a landmark moment in the judicial regulation of tech giants. By mandating the sale of assets like Chrome, the government is signalling that unchecked monopolies in critical digital spaces, like search, are no longer acceptable. But here's the crux of it. It's not just about fairness, but innovation. When one company controls too much, competition diminishes, and the result? A slower pace of technological progress.
Interesting, because doesn't Google argue the opposite? Like their dominance lets them innovate faster?
They do, yes. Their defense has always painted a picture of synergy, that their interconnected services work better together. But critics argue that this dominance stifles other players from entering the space, pushing fresh ideas out of the market. Think about it. Without competition, what incentive is there to really push boundaries?
True. I mean, Chrome basically owns the browser market. Like, for most people, it's the internet, isn't it?
Exactly. And that's where the DOJ's argument gains strength. If Chrome is spun off, it could open up new opportunities for competitors to innovate, whether through privacy-focused alternatives or something we haven't even imagined yet. The question, though, is whether disbanding Google's empire will create enough room for those changes to happen.
And on the flip side, there's NVIDIA stepping into the spotlight at GTC next week. Unlike Google, they're thriving on innovation without the same regulatory clouds overhead.
Indeed. NVIDIA's Blackwell GPUs are set to be a major talking point. These chips could turbocharge developments across AI, robotics, and even gaming, a trifecta of industries that feel the ripple effects of better compute power. The stakes feel especially high this year, as NVIDIA needs another win to fend off rising competition from new players like DeepSeek.
So, while Google's being pulled back, NVIDIA's leaning all the way in kind of shows two extremes, doesn't it?
It does, and it raises the question, how do we balance these two? On one hand, imposing regulations is critical to ensuring fair play. But on the other, you've got companies like NVIDIA that thrive when left to innovate unimpeded. Striking that balance is tricky, but it's vital for the future of tech. Too much regulation, and you risk dampening progress. Too little, and monopolies form, limiting who gets a seat at the table.
Right. It's like walking a tightrope, regulation without choking creativity. And NVIDIA, they've got this proactive vibe, like they're constantly playing offense.
Absolutely. It's about vision, isn't it? Both Google and NVIDIA are giant players in their own ways, but the paths they're on couldn't be more different right now. One's grappling with the weight of its empire, while the other's charging ahead with new ideas. Whether this dynamic shifts, though, remains to be seen.
And on that note, it's going to be fascinating to see how both these stories play out in the months ahead. Honestly, AI innovation feels like it's evolving faster than ever, but at the same time, these legal and ethical debates are becoming just as critical.
Exactly. And with that, it's time to wrap things up for today. Thanks for joining us as we unpack these power moves in AI and tech. Until next time, keep questioning, keep learning, and we'll see you soon.